Hello, everybody. I'm Benjamin MAZET from Thales. I'm the product line eSIM service product line director, dealing with the remote SIM provisioning system on consumer IoT and M2M. The purpose of this keynote that we are doing together with Google is to explain the challenges and the opportunities given by the eSIM technology for the telecom industry and of course beyond. But let's review some key facts coming from 2023. So we talk about a major increase of the eSIM adoption, and when we look at it, it's linked to different drivers. The first one is about the fact that there is a multiplication of development of digital experience, rich digital experience. That is as well simplified by the fact that we have now several eSIM discovery services, and especially on the Android ecosystem and with Google. The second driver is, of course, the fact that telecom operator has now, for some of them, not all of them, an eSIM-first strategy to push this technology to their end user. And with new use cases, we clearly see on the market a major multiplication of commercial offer worldwide, not only limited to the US, not only limited to Europe, but everywhere, even in Africa as a kind of niche service and a differentiator. Last but not least, of course, thanks to the launch of the first eSIM-only device in 2022, they create a good momentum, and this momentum continues with the iPhone 15. So the first result of that is, of course, a major increase of transactions that we live. In few figures, so we double the traffic worldwide in terms of eSIM transaction. Of course, the US are taking a big part of this pie, and especially the SIM-only devices, because if you look at the US market, more than 70% of the transaction is done by eSIM-only device. But this trend is not only for the US. If you look at in Europe, we double as well the traffic. This is the same case for Asia. And of course, with a predominant device, that is the smartphone. Almost 90% of the transactions are done with the smartphone. So let's talk now about the challenges. The first challenge is, of course, to be able to support this traffic. And we can say, okay, we did it. Thales were able to deliver and are able to deliver now tens of millions of profiles with reliability, with quality of service. But this is clearly the first wave. We will certainly live in the coming months, in the coming quarters, additional waves and even bigger, because we will have more and more eSIM-only devices on the market. So we are certainly talking today about 300 to 400 million potential subscribers, but tomorrow we will talk about billions. And if you think about the IoT, it will be even more. So you need to have a system that is scalable enough, that is highly available with geo-redundancy, because it becomes a critical service, dealing directly with the subscriber activation. The other point, not linked to the performance, that is important, is the security. Here, in front of a world that's facing more and more attacks, we need to ensure, I would say, the best-in-class security for this kind of asset that gives access to the network of our customer. And so Thales has a unique experience on this by having this hybrid cloud approach. Hybrid cloud meaning that we're relying on the public cloud to provide this scalability, this flexibility in the deployment, but we maintain our sovereignty on the key asset like the key management system. And so we maintain our ownership for our customer on all these secure elements, secure assets. Second challenge, and already mentioned in the previous presentation, of course, the end user experience. This is something that is critical. We need to maintain the same seamless experience that we have with the SIM card, but of course, more and more digital. And we have to manage this life cycle. We have to manage, of course, the activation as a first step. That is critical, as mentioned by Sylvain. We have to manage the device change. That could happen maybe one time per year, or more often, depending on the usage by the end user. We have also to fully benefit from the subscription upgrade. We dematerialize the SIM, so we should have more capability to change subscription. And last but not least, and especially if you are an operator providing a premium service, we need to think about the device repair. It has an impact in your process when we talk about eSIM. So today, and if we put the focus on the activation, yes, the most important means that is used on the market is the QR code, whatever is physical or digital. 90% of MNOs are using this means to activate their subscription for their end user. But they are moving more and more to the digital. So Gary talked about the entertainment server. It represents approximately 30% of the MNO using this technology. One element that is, let's say, a bit new, but on which we see a trend, is about the carrier app. Today, it represents 10%, but in the last months, many carriers decided to invest in this kind of means to have an access to their end user. Of course, those different means could be combined to the discovery services. But let's have a look on those means. So when we talk about the carrier app, we talk about an intuitive mobile app experience. The objective of the carrier app is to be able to manage the SIM and potentially on an existing application already deployed by the telecom operator. The objective of this carrier app is as well to facilitate the onboarding. So you can integrate some key features like the eKYC for the identification, but also additional features that will help you to manage your subscriber along the life cycle, like self-service, capability to upgrade the subscription. And one important point of this mobile app is, of course, the fact that it's telecom branded. You can put the brand at the center of this application. On the other side, we have the entertainment server, and thank you, Gary, for the technical explanation, that rely on, of course, the built-in experience that you could have thanks to the OEM. The entertainment server starts for the eSIM by managing the companion device, and today it extends the use cases to the primary activation, and the most important challenge now is to manage the device swap. So let's talk some concrete example coming from our customer, and I would like to thank them to share this information. The first one is with Free in Austria. They decided to develop their carrier app not to create a new digital brand, but more as a new channel to specific subscribers, and especially subscribers focused on the digital. The promise of this application is to allow you to be onboarded, to have the access of the connectivity in less than 5 minutes by going through the different steps. Of course, download the application, create an account, select the data plan, execute the payment, check your identity, and at the end, download the subscription on your device. What is the promise of this kind of application for Dry in Austria? First, they would like to have this available worldwide. And I can say you it's a success. Because, of course, you have Austrian people using it, but you have more than 70 nationalities using this application thanks to the traveler use case. The application is done to be fully autonomous, to give you a clear value proposition in terms of service, access to value-added services, that's the one provided by Apple, and of course, a full set of support that you can access. And as you can see in the different screenshots in the previous slide, the brand is at the center of this presentation. Another example with Telefónica. that would like also to obtain this seamless experience. And so this one is based on the entitlement server implementation. They put the focus on the device change. They would like to make it as much as efficient as possible. Fast, simple in terms of end-user experience, agnostic in terms of device, and with a specific focus on the security. Prevent any problem of connectivity loss or identity theft. Let's talk about the last element that for the moment seems to be far from telecom operators that just start. But the device repair is an important point, and especially if you are in a positioning to provide it as a premium service, to maintain to your end user a constant quality of service. The eSIM changed a bit this approach, because when you receive a device that is completely swapped in terms of connectivity or a device that is broken, you don't have the same facility as the SIM to plug in. So you need to review completely your process. And you need to ensure that when you will get back the mobile to the end user, it will be fully usable. So we have one customer in the US, a tier 1, that take this specific problem as an important one, because they have to manage, of course, the eSIM-only device, but they would like as well to make this service as a reference one for their different channels, direct, indirect, wholesale channels. How they did that? They simply deploy a dedicated solution, dedicated SMDP Plus to manage all the security aspects, a dedicated team, and the capability to re-download profile, I would say 10 or 1,000 times per day, because this is the volume of device that they are managing every day. So the ramp-up is here. We have a major adoption of the eSIM. Of course, on our side, we need to work on reliability of the service, quality of service, operational excellence for our customer. But in the same time, for the telecom operator, this is also a big challenge to address the simplicity of the end-user experience, the seamless of the end-user experience. And for that, they have different technical ways to do it, like the entitlement server, like the carrier app. They can combine them because they need to have a single solution for each subscriber according to their specificity. And of course, they can rely on the discovery service that provide an out-of-the-box experience. So thank you very much. I will be, at the end of the summit, available for your question. You can visit our booth if you want, all two. And now I leave the floor to Sathish that will explain the strategy, the vision of Google and the product that they develop to reach this seamless experience. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. And before I get started, huge kudos to everyone who has organized this MWC24. It was well-organized, well-planned event, so great call out to them. Thanks for being here, and it was great hearing all the presenters talking about the various challenges, various opportunities. Today, I'm going to more focus on from the operating system point of view, from the Android, so that's what I'm going to focus on. With that, let me get the slides going. Right. All right. I'm Sathish. I lead the Android engineering for the connectivity areas, including the telephony, all the wireless connectivity aspects of it. And I'll spend most of the time on what we have done on the eSIM journey for the last several years, working closely with all our carrier partners, our eSIM vendors, the standardization bodies, and our OEM partners and the SoC vendors who make this vibrant Android ecosystem. And like a lot of you folks, we started our eSIM journey back in 2016. That was the first eSIM launch that we had in Android. And we have been systematically working very closely with the standard bodies, research experts, and more importantly, all the carrier partners and the UICC vendors, SoC vendors. And given there is a diverse ecosystem that we have in Android, it was easy to get the eSIM out of the door first. But how do we get from that point to the scale effort that everyone is talking about here, and this is right in front of us. And maybe I'll spend some time on how we are approaching, how we are thinking through that. More importantly, from the user journey point of view, because at the end of the day, everything that we are doing here is to make the user journey much more easier, and we'll just share some of our thoughts on that part today. And in this role, right, we are privileged to talking with all the leading carrier partners across the carriers and countries, and working closely with all the EU CEC vendors, and working closely with the chipset partners and the OEM partners. And the one common thing that we are hearing from every single partners that we are working with is, this is not just the technology change that we are seeing here. There is a lot of strategic opportunities that each of the players here can unlock in this field. And that's where we are trying to see how can we, as an Android, play a role in helping them to unlock those opportunities much more faster, right? Taking the technology and then transitioning and seeing how can we help them to open up those opportunities. A lot of the speakers before me talked at length about all the opportunities, all the challenges, and how they are systematically approaching it in taking care of them. I'll just briefly touch upon some of the stuff to recap the ones that they have already talked about. Be it the digital transformation, that by in itself is a huge challenge, and the amount of work that needs to happen right from the factory all the way until the point the user gets the device, and managing the customer, it's just a huge amount of work. The partners are playing a huge role. And the sustainability part of it, and this is the other great thing about the eSIM part, we are moving away from the plastic aspect of the SIM card to more about the electronic SIM, and that's where we all can try and play a role to accelerating the scale. It's easy, again, to go get it to one set of devices, class of devices. How do we get it across the entire ecosystem of devices, not just the phones, the tablets or the watches and everything? It just needs a lot of work that needs to be done. And the amount of saving that we can do from the sustainability aspect of it, that's where we are excited to see how can we play a small role there. Cost savings, again, the experts talked about a lot on the cost savings. This is another area where we want to see how can we help accelerate or get the partners who have spent a lot of time and energy on this to start gaining those cost savings on the investments that they've made. The last one is something that I didn't hear a lot of partners talk about it, which is the new revenue streams. And one example that I just want to talk about is, how do we acquire the new customers in the eSIM world? In the prior world, if I were a user, and if I want to try a carrier different from what I was used to, I need to go get a physical SIM card, and there wasn't a much easier process to sign up or try them for a couple of weeks, and then see, is the service good in the usual, the way that I take my office? Do I have 5 bars? Do I always have a data coverage? Do I have the voice continuity, everything? It's not just possible to do that in the prior world, or if in order to do that, it takes a lot of effort. But in the eSIM world, I've seen a lot of carriers have done this creative way where I can just download an app, try their network for 7 days, and then see how well they perform in my exact route that I take every day to my home, and then say that, you know what, I'm not dropping my calls, my connectivity is great, and I might probably consider switching to that carrier. This was not possible in the past, or in order to do that, it would take a lot of steps, but that's something that has unlocked for the carrier partners, and that's exciting to see. But so, again, there are a lot more, but I just want to recap that the 4 important things that we have heard from our carrier partners. And with that, to transitioning from the technology to the more of a strategic opportunities, all that is possible if and only we can get one thing right. And how do we get that part right? Like, I just want to take pause here and talk about how does this work from the user point of view? Before the eSIM came up, right? If me as a user, I'll either go to my carrier store, or in some countries, I'll go to my corner retail store and say I need a plastic SIM. And I come back home, I look for my infamous paperclip, or I'll try to find something that looks like a paperclip because I never get the tool. So I need to find the tool and get the physical SIM out and put the physical SIM, and I'm done. Now, fast forward, I got this shiny Android device of the OEM that I like the most, and I get it out of the box. I don't have the physical SIM slot, or I don't have the physical SIM card. What do I do? Okay, let me go download the carrier app to install the eSIM. Wait, I just opened the box. I got the device powered on. I can't do the carrier app. All right? So there's a problem there. What else can I do? I have my old device because I'm moving from my old device, and my wife gifted me this new shiny phone, and I want to transfer it. All right, how do I transfer from my old device to new device? Oh, it was easy before. I just used my paperclip, get my SIM card, put it on this device. I got the service, and I'm back on. But I can no longer do that. Oh, what can I do? On my old device, I can send the EID. What the hell is that? I don't know what it is. And then send my IMEI. Send all this information back to the carrier, and then get what is called the QR code, and then I can download that on my new device. Wait, you asked me to send the EID and IMEI from my old device. Should I be sending my old device information or my new device? It might look like I'm exaggerating this, but just think from the normal user point of view. One, you are asking me to send this 32-digit EID. They need to find and enter it manually on their old device via SMS or whatever the ways they need to send it, and then wait for the QR code to come on whatever the means they get it, right? And then go and download. That's the other way, right? And those two user journeys, if you think about it, where you don't have a carrier app, or you don't have a way to transfer from your old device, which you have been using for the last 3 years, now you got a new device, and here you are, and third important part, a lot of times we don't have the user might not have the Wi-Fi connectivity. How are they going to download this shiny eSIM profile from somewhere in the cloud onto the device, right? I think that's another challenge. And when we were looking at it, we were like, come on, everybody should be having this Wi-Fi connectivity. This should not be a problem in this age. And it was surprising to hear even a big carrier partners, or not just the MNOs, there are challenges within their stores where they might not have a great Wi-Fi coverage. It's a little spotty, right? So they might not even be able to go and download the profile. So I have yet another problem. If at home, it's easier. I got my Wi-Fi, I can download it. But if I'm getting it from the carrier store, I have a problem there. I haven't even gone into the details of how much the carrier rep can help me in solving this problem. But there is an entire kind of the work that needs to happen as well in terms of how do we get the carrier rep prepped in getting the EID and all that information transferred. So from the user journey point of view, while this is going to make things a lot more easier, but we need to have multiple tools in this eSIM profile journey to make it easier for them when going from their old device to new device, or when they don't have a Wi-Fi connectivity, or when they can't even download the app on the very first time when they power up the device. So how do we go about solving the problem? So this is where, when we started this mission back in 2016, we were like, how do we solve this systematically? And how do we get to a level that it doesn't just solve a certain section of premium devices or users, it's easier. If this has to scale, this has to work across the entire Android ecosystem. And how do we solve that part? And not just the Android ecosystem, how do we make sure we can help enable moving between the cross OSs as well? A lot of challenges needs to be solved there. But one thing when we start off as part of a mission for the operating system, the thing that for eSIM, we set up is how do we make sure the transformation or downloading the profile or moving the mobile service from my old device to new device or getting it activated is as simple and as seamless, and more importantly, as secure. This part is important. Like it's kind of an upgrade in our mind from the user point of view when moving from the physical SIM to eSIM. There's a little bit of the security aspect or increased security that the eSIM brings in. So how do we enable all the three vectors for the user so that at the end of the day, when they are setting up the new device or moving from old device to the new device or getting it for the fresh subscription, how do they set it up? Oh, by the way, the other thing I didn't mention from the user journey point of view, there are two set of user journeys. I could be part of a carrier plan where when they ship the device, everything is pre-programmed automatically. So when I get the device opened, it will immediately say, you have a profile waiting to download, just download and get it done. That's great, that simplifies it, but that's only a small fraction of users. There are a lot of users who are in the, what we call it as a BYOD user, or the, where the carriers are not the ones who are shipping the device. I'm either getting it from my wife or my daughters, or my daughter is getting the phone from me. In that case, the carriers don't have the information in the database, so I can't download it. So how do we solve that problem? So we start off with the 3 key areas. One, well, we have the basic eSIM working, but to help our carrier partners, to help our OEM partners and other vendors, how do we get to this new world of eSIM is not for vacation, or eSIM is not for travel, or it's a secondary way of activation, to moving towards the preferred activation method. If given a choice, users might be like, you know what, I'll just go stay with my eSIM that has worked for me for the last 10 years. I'm happy to stay with that. Or how do we get to the closer part of activating it faster? And then the second one is, how do we do a seamless transfer from the old device to the new device? And the profile discovery is a lot of others talked about it, so I'll keep it short there. What are we doing on our side? 2 things. One, for a new device, how do we download it from your discovery server? This is the case where you have your, the carriers know your device and you can download it. Or when you have 2 different devices, how you can transfer it via the entitlement server is the other part we are enabling it. I will keep this short. This is one thing what we are doing on the Android side. Android will have a Google SMDS server powered by Thales, which is going to provide that robust, seamless activation across all the Android devices. And we are enabling it for all our carrier partners for the last year or so. And with the DS, we provide the robust SLA. And then more importantly, it works on all the Android devices. We are trying to bring in the consistency there. And obviously, it's the GSMA compliant. And the folks talked about the push notification, and you'll have that support as well. The device-to-device transfer, I think this is one key thing I want to drive home the point is, a lot of work has happened in the standardization. In order for this to scale, this cannot be a proprietary protocol. When moving from one device to another device, if each one of them have their own proprietary protocol, it just doesn't scale. This is where we embrace on Android side the TS43 part of the protocol. And the other thing that we are enabling is, this is going to work from any Android devices. You can take an Android device shipped all the way in Android 10, and you get the new device with Android 14 or 15, and you will be able to seamlessly transfer the eSIM from one device to the other. This was not possible before. This is something we are bringing the consistency, and more than consistency, not a proprietary protocol, something the GSMA has certified, and the TS43 protocol is going to enable that part. And again, this is going to have across all the Android OEMs, so there is no fragmentation here, a consistent user experience, and a much more standard experience across the device. And it will be available out of the box and also from the settings UI. I know I rushed out a little bit, but we are here. Reach out to us. We want to work with you folks. This journey is hard. You folks are all doing a great effort here, and we just want to do our part from the Android side of it to enable this journey much more easier for our end users here. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.